Kindlers, real quick, I'm going to share something with you. Someone else will always be much more successful at just business, at life, at just anything that you want to be successful than you are, right? And to that, I say, you know what? So what? Like, so what? Who cares? Success is not about how far you've gotten, but it's more about how far you've come from where you started. All right, so I want you guys to remember that success is not about how far you've gotten or comparing yourself to everyone else that's in the group or comparing yourself to other people that are on social media, that are on Instagram, YouTube, whatever it may be. I see people get faked out about this all the time. And what it does is it stifles their efforts because they start saying, well, this person's, got 5 books out. This person's doing 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, whatever it may be, 50,000 a month. And I'm just here and I haven't gotten my first book out. It's going to take me forever. Who's going to buy it? Why would someone buy from me? We start to have all of these doubts in our head. And I'm here to tell you that when you measure your success against the success of someone else, you're doing yourself a disservice. And you're already eliminating the potential that you have in yourself. When you start to measure how far you've come from where you were, then you start to see a boost in your results. Like, you can't get better at anything that you don't measure. You can't get better at anything that you don't measure. And what's worse, the way that the mind works, right, is when you start seeing other people online, whether it's me, whether it's other people that are part of a community, whether it's people that you don't know on social media, whether it's your aunt, your uncle, your cousins, the folks that are always coming through and bragging about where they're at right now or what they've done. When you start measuring your results against their results, you already start to stifle your creativity. You start to stifle your ability to really just kill this thing, to like really go in and do well with it. And that's the last thing I want for you. That was a mistake that I kind of made when I first got started online, when I first started doing a couple of things. Now, luckily for me, when I first started, social media wasn't as varied as it is right now, right? You didn't have all of the different platforms. You didn't have the Facebook, the Instagram, the YouTube, all of this stuff here where you can easily get distracted, where you can easily see someone else's success and you can say, well, geez, where am I in relation to this person? Not knowing the journey that this person may have put in, right? Not knowing the advantages that this person may have had, not knowing the disadvantages that they may have had, right? Because sometimes our disadvantages work in our favor as well. Think about it. How many disadvantages have you had that work in your favor? For me, having sickle cell anemia worked in my favor because I wanted to prove to myself that I could always get the work done, that I could always do what other people who had normal health or regular health or great health could do. So that was an advantage for me, right? So what are some of the disadvantages that you've turned into advantages that you can use to catapult your success? I'm telling you, if you start to continue to look at wherever people are at and use that as your measuring stick, it will do you so much harm. So here's what I want you to do. Here's how you can really get to any level of success that you want to get to, all right? Any level of success that you want to get to. The first thing is you have to continuously measure your results, all right? So measure where you're at this week versus last month versus last year, all right? And then have a goal as to where you want to be. So you have that goal where you want to be. Now, the goal is going to be your driving force. The goal is going to be, the GPS for you. It's your directions, right? Now, you measuring from day to day, week to week, every day, I'll look at the income that's coming from my businesses. And we're looking at it as opposed to yesterday, as opposed to, let's say today's a Monday. We're looking at it as opposed to last Monday, as opposed to a Monday a month ago, as opposed to a Monday a year ago. Because now that lets me know if we're going in the right direction, we're ascending, or if we're descending. All right. So you can't get better at anything that you don't measure. That includes your health. That includes losing weight. That includes, measuring how often you talk to your spouse in a good way, how often you go in and maybe get your spouse a greeting card, how often you hug your kids, right? You can't get better if you're not measuring and keeping track of all of this stuff. And like I said, the second thing is having that goal. So making sure that you have a goal, because the goal is going to be your your guiding light. The goal is going to be your GPS, right? Nothing amazing, right, has happened in my life. I would say, outside of having kids, right? But even with some of our kids, that was the goal, right? You set the goal to get pregnant. You say, okay, this is the goal. Boom. Right? Now, you also want to have a driving force behind it in terms of why. Why do you want to get here? Like, why do I want to now build my business up to a point where and this could be you, right? Where I'm making $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month. What are you going to do with that? Like, how does that's got to be your driver, your reason why. Because having a reason why is going to drive you to win. You see my shirt here? My shirt says driven to win. Now, this shirt is old as hell. It's probably about, I want to say 10 years old. But I still put this shirt on whenever I need to be reminded of my why, to be reminded of my reason. Right? So you have to have a why that's going to push you even when you get comfortable, even when you want to be out and hanging out with the friends, even when you want to watch sports, even when you want to watch TV, you want to binge watch something on Netflix or Hulu, right? Your why is going to drive you enough to a point where you're like, if I sit here and I stay on this television for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, some people watch TV for 6 hours in a damn day, then that's time that I could have been using to push towards my why. All right. So you have to track and measure, right? Track and measure your book sales. Track and measure your downloads. Set a goal. If your book sales are here or your downloads are here for this month, you've got this number of subscribers this month, where do you want to be next month? Where do you want to be next year? And then most importantly, where do you want to be 5 years from now? What does it look like? Most of us, we don't even think out 5 years from, right? So we don't even think 5 years ahead of time. Because we're so stuck in the present. We're so stuck in what we're seeing other people accomplish. All right? So where do you want to be? And then making sure that you have that why in there. That why is going to really, hold you accountable. It's going to make sure that even when you don't want to do things, you're pushing yourself to do them. Like, the motivation alone isn't enough. Like, you have to have a reason why. And that reason why is going to change. It's going to change from time to time. All right? So, listen, the other thing, and this is probably one of the last things I'm going to leave you guys with, is the importance of being around the right people. Like, you can't do this alone. Whatever your dream is, whatever your goal is, you can't. As a matter of fact, you should not want to do it alone. It's crazy. Like, why would you want to do it alone when you have other people that can help you, other people that can inspire you, that can motivate you, other people that can show you the way? And that's what we do at our KCF Live event. So we do this event, Kindle Cashflow Live, and this event gives you instruction. It gives you hope. It gives you vision. You see other people that are doing things, right? It lets you know that you're not alone. One of the biggest factors to most people who have success is that they have a community. Having a community around them. Having people that they can go in and that they can, kind of consult with, that they can get guidance from, that they can ask questions to. And that's what we give you at this thing. And it doesn't cost you anything to actually join us. Like, that's the crazy part, right? It doesn't cost you anything to join us. It doesn't cost you anything other than time to join us at KCF Live. So sometimes you have to make these sacrifices. Like, whenever I want to get to the next level in my life, I have to look at where I'm currently at and what am I willing to give up? What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to sacrifice? When I started my job at Walgreens Pharmacy, right, I had to sacrifice and I had to give up having the freedom of being able to do whatever I wanted to do. Having those 6, 7, 8 hours in that day, I had to give those up in order to get to the job, right? And then when I got promoted to be a manager, I had to give up the freedom of just being, someone who was a regular worker there, right? Who was a stock person, a cashier, because now as a manager, I have more responsibilities, right? So I had to give up the ability to, come and go as I wanted to clock in at 9 o'clock and to clock out at 5 o'clock. Because as a manager, you had more time that was required, right? And then when I wanted to start my own business, I had to give up working at Walgreens. I had to give up. Here's the tough part. I had to give up the security of knowing that I was getting, because we got a stipend, that I was getting a set amount of money every single week. And now I would have to gamble on me being responsible for the income that came in to feed my family. So I had to sacrifice giving up my job, sacrifice having the certainty of knowing how much income that I would get, right? So there's some things that you're going to have to sacrifice to go in and get to the next level. There's some things. Listen, when I started to build out businesses and started to make millions and millions and millions of dollars, I had to sacrifice spending time hanging out with my buddies. I had to sacrifice going out to the club at night. I had to sacrifice, drinking. I used to drink beer, and every once in a while would have a drink with my buddies, when I would go out. I had to sacrifice that stuff because I said, listen, if I want the advantage, I have to be 100% on point. The individual that wants the advantage has to be 100% on point, and putting anything in your body that takes away from that gives you a disadvantage. And you're actually giving the advantage to other people. So I had to sacrifice giving up having a beer every once in a while, right? Had to sacrifice having a drink every once in a while. Had to sacrifice going out every single weekend 2 and 3 times, and instead putting that time working towards my business. So there's some sacrifices. So at this KCF Live event, it's going to take place for 3 days. You're going to have to sacrifice giving up 3 days of your time, whether that's time away from your family. Some of our attendees, they give up time away from their job. They'll give their job a notice like, hey, I can't make it this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm working on me. I'm working on my family. I'm working on growth. I'm working on where we're going to be. I'm working on taking myself to the next level. I'm working on being who I deserve to be. I'm working on the next best version of me. So there's these sacrifices. So KCFlive.com, every single person, if you're watching this right now, not only should you sign up, but every single person that you should send them that link. Doesn't cost them anything to get in. Doesn't matter if they're interested in publishing books on Amazon. Doesn't matter if they're interested in learning how to publish audiobooks or turn their books into other languages. Doesn't matter if they're interested in learning how to sell their digital publishing businesses. It doesn't matter if they're interested in starting an online business at all. This event will totally give them a different paradigm shift, as it will for you. So it is your duty to share it with as many people as possible. KCFlive.com, send it out to an email. Grab a couple of your cousins, your uncles, your friends, say, hey, you guys need to attend this event. It's a free event, doesn't cost you anything, but you should attend because it will be life-changing. Post it on your social media, go over to your Instagram, share it, right? And most importantly, make sure you go in and you grab your ticket. And when you do grab your ticket, come back here and comment, got my ticket, right? That's the starting point. Just those simple words, got my ticket. That's the starting point to the next best version of you. I'll see you soon.